So a lot of information has been coming out today in regards to Pokemon, so I thought it was pretty interesting, so I figured we can go ahead and get into it. So the Pokemon Company wins $15 million copyright lawsuit against game that copied Pokemon characters. Heyday. So for anyone that doesn't know, what this article entails is that there was a Chinese company, South China, that decided to release their own game. And when they ended up releasing it, they ended up releasing some of the assets from Pokemon games. So they had Ash as a character, they had Pikachu, and it was one of those things that Nintendo had caught wind of this, and the Pokemon Company actually ended up suing the Chinese corporation. So it was one of those things. They ended up deciding to sue for about $72 million. And part of the reason they decided to sue for that much was that the game was originally released in with permissions from Pokemon Company in 2015. So it was an app game for so pretty much on the cell phone, and it was one of those things that about a 24.5 revenue increase in 2001 had become of the company. So pretty much $43 million is what the company had made since their launch of the original game in 2015. So about 6 year period, they made about 43 million. And so Nintendo had caught wind of this, and that was partially the reason why they decided to sue for as much as they did. So this article just gets a little bit more into detail about the video game and what had happened in that regard, but it does talk about the lawsuit itself. So the Shenzhen International People's Court had acknowledged the copyright infringement and ordered one of the six companies accused to pay 107 million Chinese yuan, so around 15.8 million in damages. And then three of the remaining companies were ordered to bear joint liability but have filed an appeal. So pretty much three of them try to appeal so that they wouldn't have to pay part of that portion, so the 15 million. So if that's the case, more than likely their information wouldn't be settled in, a few months from now, most likely. And then we'll go ahead and get a little bit further into it. So Pocket Monsters Reissue launched in 2015 and appears fairly popular, having earned upwards to around 42 million in a single year, according to the Pokemon Company, as reported by South China's Morning Post in 2022. The game features seemingly unaltered Pikachu artwork from the Pokemon Yellow box and an app icon, while others' branding of the game featured what appears to be Ash Ketchum, Pikachu, Tepig, and Oshawott, again unaltered. So I got a picture of that right here. So this is what they had released for the promotion for their game. So it is one of those things when you do see this, automatically you're gonna assume that it's a Pokemon game. It's just a Pokemon game, but it's in a different country. That's why the lettering's obviously different. But if you were to just take a glance at this, personally, I would think, oh, there's a new Pokemon game that's coming out that they have. Oh, that's pretty cool. So obviously, with Pokemon catching wind of this was something that they were not okay with. The fact that they were using their artwork, as well as the fact that it looks like they have some of the gameplay in the back using some of the characters. Now, I don't know if this is the game itself from the Chinese company, or if this is just a piece of Pokemon, like a game from Pokemon that they just altered themselves to put in the background. But either way, this was a big issue in regards to them using the likeness of these characters without having the permission to do so. So then we'll go ahead and continue on. So they were unaltered, and then gameplay of Pocket Monsters reissues from Perez DB on YouTube shows myriad other familiar characters in Pokemon and what appears to be intended as a remake of the original games. The Pokemon Company is fairly cutthroat with its copyright lawsuit, but some targets, perhaps including Pocket Monsters reissues, are more blatant about its influence than others. So they pretty much just stole assets of it altogether. And then we'll get a little bit further into some of the other issues. So, a former chief legal officer of the Pokemon Company said in March that it doesn't actively seek out fan projects to shut down, but only did so when they crossed a certain line. There are multiple examples of Pokemon fan projects being issued takedown notices despite this. In 2018, popular fan-made creation tool player used to build their own Pokemon games bit the dust. In 2021, support for a Pokemon fan project called Pokemon Uranium ceased after 9 years of development, and in 2022, the Pokemon Company removed almost all videos of any fan-made Pokemon hunting FPS that went viral on YouTube and social media. So that's interesting. I think that's it is one of those things that I feel like Pokemon as well as Nintendo in general have always been kind of a little bit cutthroat when it comes to their properties and stuff like that. Some of it I do understand because Nintendo does do their best to try to to try to look as like a family friendly type of corporation. So if anyone does come in and they do kind of sully that image, yeah, I can definitely see them going in and making changes. And then the same for Pokemon. It is one of those things where it is kind of like it is kind of like a kid's property. So you do want to take care of it as much as possible so that it doesn't get sullied. So that parents will always be able to be like, yeah, this is a property we can trust with our children. We're not gonna have to worry about any issues. So not a fan project. The popularity of Pokemon with Guns game, Pal World, had many comparing it to the Nintendo Classic. The Pokemon Company only released a fairly tame and generic statement in response, though. We intend to investigate and take appropriate measures to address any acts that infringe on the intellectual property rights related to the Pokemon. So that was a big thing too when Power World did come out. There was a lot of people that were speculating like, "Oh, be careful, Pokemon's gonna come and sue you." That never was really the case in regards to Power World, because it is one of those things like Pokemon was not the first game where you collect creatures and then cause them to fight each other, kind of a thing. That's the main gist of what Pokemon is. And there's been plenty of games that had come out before Pokemon that had a similar vein. So if they wanted to, they could have sued Pokemon themselves. So whenever Pokemon decides to go after someone, like stated here, they have to cross a certain line. There has to be something that has them like, okay, this doesn't go with our corporation. And for instance, was the whole issue with Power World, where when the game came out, there wasn't really anything Pokemon could do because of the fact that they were able to change things up as much as they did, as far as making it so that you're not just collecting creatures, but you can also catch people as well as the fact that there's guns in the game, and the fact that it was a crafting game, from my understanding. I never played Power World, but that was what I remember hearing. So there was enough changes there so that Pokemon wouldn't be able to go after them. But where there was an issue was when someone had come out with a mod that created all the characters in Power World and the POW creatures or whatnot to look like Pokemon and to look like Pokemon characters. So that was where the lawsuit had went with them. But as far as the game itself, like I said, there was too many changes from the original version of Pokemon to that game that they wouldn't be able to actually go after any type of lawsuit or anything like that. So I think this is, interesting. The fact that this game here did decide to actually go about, actually using assets from Pokemon, especially considering, because like I said, Pokemon and Nintendo, they're very strict when it comes to that type of stuff. So the fact that this company thought it was okay to do so is I think that's mind blowing. I'm curious if it was one of those things, if they figured, you know what, screw it, we'll use these Pokemon, we'll probably make a huge profit, and then we'll just worry about it later. Or if it was one of those things they were thinking, like, maybe we can just show like a couple pictures here, maybe some characters here and there, and we'll be able to get it under the radar. So I think it's interesting. I think it's kind of stupid on their part, if I'm honest. But at the end of the day, from what it seems like, they did make about a $42 million profit or whatnot, and $42 million in a single year, and they're only really, having to pay $15 million. I mean, as far as they go as a company, I take that as a win for them. So those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you think this is interesting, as far as Pokemon deciding to sue these people? Do you think that they should have been sued a long time ago if they came out with this in 2015? I personally think they should have, but who knows? Might have just been one of those things where it went under the radar for so long. So those are my thoughts on that. If you guys can let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you guys can like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.